Hello, everybody out there. I'm Russell Hill. I'm your host of WTF, and that is the FixedOPS podcast to all of you out there today. And I'm joined today by...
Hello, everyone. I'm Charity, your co-host today, and we have David Long. He's the president of David J. Long Consulting or Coaching. He is the founder, All Things Used Cars and Pandemic of Positivity. He's the author of Step Zero, How to Own Your Energy, Attitude, and Approach Before You Sell, Serve, or Lead Anyone Else. Now, I'm going to hand this over to you, Russell. I know you wanted to say a few things about David before we begin.
Thank you. I'm so pumped up. I just got finished in All Things Used Cars with David Long and, Steve and Danny and Danielle and Michael and some of the many other people we heard from in the room. You would think that when you're in a room like in Clubhouse, All Things Used Cars, that would be about used cars. Well, you would think that WTF, what the Fixed Ops is all about Fixed Ops. Bob, it is not. Okay. It goes way beyond that. And I'm really honored and humbled, both of us, Cherry and I, David Long. I feel a kinship to him. And I've only known you about 3 years, I think, David, but even though we've known each other for 3 years, he's had such a tremendous impact in my life and my trajectory and where I'm going. And we have a mutual friend. His name is Bill W. I've known him for 31 years. And I think, David, you've known him 37 years, 36, 37. Which one is it? Something like that.
It's going to be 8 here in a couple months, 38.
38 in a couple of months. And you'll hear more about that. But today, this isn't about fixed operations. This is about Step Zero, a book that is fixing to be released. I can't wait to get it in my hot hands. We have a few things, but we're going to take you through a gamut of questions because we want everybody out there to know. And I wanted to say thank you to all of you out there for our 5th going on our 6th year with this podcast. For those of you who do podcasting, know that there's a lot of time, effort, and energy that goes into sustaining a podcast that long. But we are so humbled, honored, excited with all of you out there that to promote this and to engage with David and to listen and like and love all the shorts or watch the whole thing or a combination of both and share it with all your friends, families, neighbors, and relatives, because it's going to be a great, great show. And he's probably already done a few of these, and yet the book's not out, but the anticipation is like off the charts. Charity, ask David the first question.
Well, I will. David, welcome again. Tell us a little bit about you and what you've been up to lately.
Well, first of all, Charity, thank you for helping me put this together. You're always so great at organizing and coordinating these 2 old guys that you see on the screen and helping us together. So without you, we probably wouldn't be here.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you. Kudos.
And Russell, it's always great to be with you as well. So here's what I'm up to. In about middle of last year, I was talking about I have 548 days till retirement, and I'm going to retire, and I'm going to retire. And then I thought, and this is kind of a personal story, but I heard my dad. Now, my dad passed away in his early 50s, and my dad always tell us, I'm the youngest of 8, and he'd say, when I retire, we were in Northern Ohio, when I retire, I'm moving to Florida. That's all we heard. Like, he'd go to Florida, and he just loved Florida. Well, he passed away before he retired. I'm talking about a month before he retired. So as I was doing my countdown and my advent calendar of I'm retiring in 547 days, right? I heard my dad, and I'm like, well, why would I wait to retire when I can just retire now? So a company that I loved and a group of people that I really hold in the highest regard, I accelerated my retirement and retired at the end of January. Gave 4 or 5 months to find my replacement, tried to do everything I could for the transition. And I thought, you know what? It's time now. So we're almost done. We started at that point building a home in Idaho, and a home big enough to kind of house all of our kids if they wanted to, and their kids.
I love it.
That house will be done in September, October. And since my retirement, I have been doing podcasts or coaching calls. I have a coaching and performance business, as you mentioned, for just 10 hours a day. So my retirement went from I'm done to only 10 work days plus prep time. So that's what I'm doing these days. I finished the book, doing coaching and performance with 35 dealers and just having a freaking blast. That's what I'm doing.
Well, you're an amazing connector.
Well, thanks.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Charity.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds like a very fun retirement so far. You're doing what you want to do. And,
Charity, I do have to say, I've been practicing my word tracks. I had 400, 500 days to practice. It is paper, plastic, or welcome to Walmart. I was ready for the transition.
No.
Yeah. I was ready. I had the blue smock and everything, and I was ready for retirement. And then I got pulled in. God had different plans for me, and I got pulled into making an impact on dealers, and I'm just absolutely having a blast.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about Step Zero. Tell us about the book. What's going on there? What's it about? And when do you plan on releasing it? All of those things.
Sure. So Step Zero has been my life work. And I can remember 38 years ago sitting in rooms of recovery, Russell, and having old timers tell me to take the cotton out of my ears and put it in my mouth and just listen. So these seeds were planted early, really early. And then what put it together was I was an executive with AutoNation. And this was really one of the defining moments in my professional career. In my 30s. I was excited to be leading a group of dealers in Florida, and we were doing great. We were most improved dealer of the year, 2 years in a row at each of the locations. I'm like, I'm getting it done. I'm so good. And I believe my own propaganda. I really believe that it had a lot to do with me and my process. You notice the personal pronouns were just so
absolutely.
So I'm in a room, and my memory serves me correct. I know that Mike Maroney was in there. I know that Michael Jackson was just transitioning in, and Wayne Huizinga. And it was the 20, what they called best general managers of all 357 stores. And they wanted to know how we were doing, what we were doing, making such an impact with return and gross and net and units and market share. And I was just so full of myself. And Michael Maroney said, okay, we're going to go around the room. There's 20 of us, so 19 others. And we're going to ask, how exactly are you getting such phenomenal results? And much to my blessing, I was to the left of Maroney and he started to the right. So I got a chance to listen to 19 other high performers. And the first few, what I was thinking, Russell, was that doesn't make any sense. They're full of baloney. Then the second, third, and fifth, and 10th, I'm thinking, well, if they're able to sell 500-600 cars out of a tent with no market, with no ad budget, and maybe it doesn't have a lot to do with the process. Maybe it's not the process, but everything to do with what happens before the process. And then I thought, Step Zero, before anything, there's so much more to it than whatever process you develop. So that's where Step Zero was actually developed, where the thought and the brainchild was sort of solidified. And then from there, I've been working on it, but never took the time to complete it. And that now, I am happy to say, is completed. It's completely done. I will have a hard copy, the author copies I will have probably in the next week to 10 days. And I'm so excited because I think it's going to make a real impact on people.
I know it's going to make a real impact on people. And way back when we pulled the cotton out of your ears, and I was told by the old timers, shut up and listen. And just remember one thing. I said, what's that? Your very best thinking got you where you're at right now. So quit that and listen to other people. So Step Zero, formulate. This is your first book, yes or no?
First book that's going to be in a Barnes and Noble. Yeah, let's say that. Yes.
Yeah, well, the anticipation is at a feverish level out there with all the people I'm talking to. And I've already pre-ordered it and I'm waiting for it because I happen to think in my journey, which is I'm a lot of similarities, that I didn't really understand leadership, and I didn't really understand. I thought it was about this or that. And what I really found out, it's all about people and relationships and elevating people to get the very best out of them. And I continue to learn today. So you say your life doesn't change when your strategy changes. Your life changes when your state changes. What does that actually mean?
It means step zero. It's more about state than strategy, right? Think of it more about state than strategy, which is really the culmination of what most of the concepts are. How do you show up? What's happening in your mind? How are you talking to the most important person in your life, which is yourself? What are some of the things that you're bringing to a relationship? Are they helpful or hurtful? Do you have a positive intent, or are you thinking everybody has a negative intent? I mean, there's so much to it. That's why I took the time to write all those chapters. But that's really it, Michael, is what are you doing when you enter into any relationship? That's it.
Now I'm wondering, did you write it yourself, or did you get a little help from a ghostwriter or AI?
I have a lot of people that help me. So I have about a 7th grade education. And you might laugh at me, but
No, mine's eight. I got an 8th grade education, so
Yeah,
I
I
get it.
love because Russell is the same way, right? He's got the same story.
So I needed help. So I don't know that I wouldn't call it necessarily a ghostwriter, because I had it all laid out. I had somebody that could help me coordinate my thinking and
Yes.
make legible for the reader.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
very
then
important.
my coach, David Meltzer, I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Yeah, absolutely.
just a brilliant man and a great human. And he's been coaching me for a couple years now. And he had somebody that's been helping him for years. You know, he's written probably 10 New York Times bestsellers, and just an amazing story he has. And the person that's been helping him also helped me to make sure that the way that it's going to present is a way that my legacy, my children and grandchildren could be proud of their grandfather and how it was written.
Well, that's important. I know that I'm very ADHD type A, and I also am just like almost finished with my book. I think everybody should probably write a book, but it's taken 2.5 years. Now, I can tell a hell of a story, but I can't put it into a sentence where where it makes sense. So I have a ghostwriter, and that happens to be Charity, because she's amazing. So she knows way more about me than most people do. But it's quite a undertaking to write a book. And the things that I went through in my life, the personal things that you went through in your life set the stage and the foundation for the book, because had you not gone through what you've gone through, you probably wouldn't be the person you are today. And the thinking that goes on and how and what it takes to actually keep that at bay and to step zero, right? Check everything that's going on before you. It's all about the relationships. And it reminds me of a book called The Four Agreements, which I also know about. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best, and don't take things personally. I mean, very, very, very important stuff. But it's taken me a long time, and I'm still learning. Is it the same way for you as well? And did those early years that we were talking about a minute ago, is that the fundamental foundation for what you went through to where you're at now, and where that fire and passion came from?
Yeah, that's a great way to frame up that question. So, because we're older, me much older than you, most likely.
Right.
Remember, remember tapes? Remember how you could get a tape and then you could tape over the tape? So, for years, I needed to put new messaging over that tape. Right, the tape came to me with messages that just weren't true, and repeated, and they were on repeat. You know, I remember the tape players, you could press repeat and it would just keep playing and playing and
Yes.
playing. Well, those thoughts, those conversations just played and played and played and played. So what I needed to do early on, if I wanted to have a different life, which I clearly do, is I needed to put something different on top of what the messaging that I received was. So part of the step zero was I needed to reprogram. I needed to take out what was put in and replace it, not just put on top of, but take out and then replace. And that's where the congruency came from. Right. That's
That was a
why
lot. Right. That was a lot of work, wasn't it?
more than you could probably imagine. Well, you could imagine, but oh my gosh, a lot of work. Yes.
Yeah, that reinforcement, well, I'll tell you what, it still happens today, and I find that the best way to get out of my own head when I seem to be overly judgmental about something or I have negative thoughts is to be of service and to call somebody and reach out to somebody, which I do every single day that hadn't heard from me in a while. And I cannot tell you, and I know it's this way for you too. The people I reach out to said, they called me right away. Not every time. I was just thinking about you. Or I hand off a book to somebody and I'll make a little, a scribble on page 83 to call me when you finish that chapter. And I'd love to hear your thoughts because I'd love to share mine with you. And very few people ever call me because they don't read the book. But I know you read books, and I think all leaders are readers, but I don't think all readers are leaders. Anyway, it's very interesting. So what in the book you talk about owning your energy, attitude, and approach, and which of the three do leaders struggle with the most?
I don't think it's a one size fits all.
Okay. Love it.
I think everybody is, built uniquely different, and some people possess the right attitude. Some people, it's hard to have, by the way, in my experience, a terrible attitude and great energy.
Yeah.
So probably the approach is the one that is most commonly misunderstood, right? Because a really great attitude, really great energy, but an idiotic approach is not going to produce great results. So the attitude and the energy, I think it's a precursor. The approach, I don't think many people have a written, detailed, executable strategy. They show up and they work hard. And I think the 4-letter words that we need to remove is more and hard. I need to do more. More of what? I need to work hard. What kind of hard? Where? What is the outcome? What are we doing every single day that's producing the result that we're trying to accomplish? So if I had to get, nobody's ever asked me the question that way, by the way, and I've done a lot of these around step 0. That's a great question. I would say most leaders have pseudo attitude, fake attitude. Like you can tell that they're just showing up because they're supposed to have that kind of attitude. So there's not a lot of congruency between what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and what they're saying, which loses the confidence of their team. So the dealers or the people, human beings that don't have congruency need to get that fixed. And that will lead to sustainable energy because obviously you probably know this, and Charity, you probably know this, but if you are not congruent, you get very tired very fast. Like if you're faking great energy and you're faking a great attitude, there's only so much faking that can go on before you're but if it's truly how you feel and who you are, it's the law of accelerating acceleration. You're so because you're in alignment with how you feel. But if those things are going on, but you don't have the right approach or the systems, I think it's almost impossible. It's like a stool with 2 of 3 legs.
Yep.
It doesn't stand very well.
No.
So that's my answer to that question.
No, it's a great answer. And one thing that I've learned about you over the few years is you are high energy, high activity, but your actions match your words. When your actions don't match your words, you can sense it from other people, and you're constantly elevating people all the time. I don't know if that's just to keep you in check, or when I do that, is it just to keep me in check to get my thought process right? Because it is all about that initial thought process, what's going on in my head. Do I really respect, love, and admire that person? Or do I just love that person where they're at? And I need to say something that encourages and lift them up, because the alternate is a death trap for me. That's just my experience. And it probably is for you as well, right?
100%. Yeah, there's no doubt. Well said. I could not agree more. Mm-hmm.
Charity.
Well, why do so many leaders immediately look for a new process or tool before they look inward at themselves?
It's so much easier and less painful. The work that needs to be done to change the inside is so much harder than adding a new system or process, which is why I truly believe, and Danelle said it, about self-esteem. And I said this on CBT last week or the week before. I think most, if not all people, are plagued with insecurities, inferiority complex, you could call it, or fear, anxiety, what ifs. I think people walk around with this sort of impending doom. Not everybody, of course, but I believe when the inside matches the outside, we have a real fighting chance to be able to make a big impact as a leader.
I agree.
Like the inside being fixed, not being fake.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot to that, and I know we have some similar beliefs about secrets and resentments and carrying that stuff around. It serves absolutely no purpose. And I know you're going to remember this. So I met David Long back in 1998, 1999. His name wasn't David Long. His name was Roger, and you'll remember this. It was one of those when the student was ready, the teacher will appear. I already had a few years of being clean and sober under my belt. And I was on fire, and I was running a dealership at the time. And I met this guy that reminds me of you. And he mentored me for quite some time because he knew I was hungry, but I didn't know how to go from where I was at to the next level. And I was vulnerable enough to let him know that. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do? So you can have and become the things that most people will never have and never become." And of course, that set me on fire. And he gave me a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, who's the grand poobah of all the books I think that we read today. Anyway, those types of things impacted you because you constantly get me fired up, just like the room we just left. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it because that's the kind of stuff that keeps me on track every day. Every day, I have to read something. I have to reach out to someone. I have to be of service in some way, form, or fashion. Those are some of the things that keep me grounded and moving forward. And yet I still battle even after all these years. And I wonder if you do as well. And I think you probably do, but we'll let you answer that. The self-doubt or lack of self-esteem, sometimes it crops up, but I can tell you it doesn't stay there too long because in my toolbox, I recognize it where I couldn't recognize it before. And I realized, wow, that is self-defeating bullshit. Quit thinking that way and start this. Do you have those check-in moments with David Long and who you are?
Well, let me give a real example.
Yeah, come on.
So when I started at the Hansel, the company I just retired from, which just great people, I sat down with the owner because I wanted to know what a good job looked like to him, right? So before I started, I wanted to know what was I up against. And he laid it out very clearly. Great communicator. Really, you don't have to wonder where you stand. Here's what a good job looks like. Here's what a great job looks like. And here's the job I was doing. So I mean the team. Here's what a good job looks like. Here's what a great job looks like. And here was the job that we were doing. Right? So it was even past great from a net profit standpoint, from a lot of the things that we were doing. So to give you a real example to answer your question, things are going great. Customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, net profit, market share, all the things. Henry walked by me. I didn't even know he was coming by the store. He very seldom came by the stores that I was operating. And he walked by and he seemed put off. And guess what I thought the rest of the day?
What did I do? What am I not doing?
Oh my God, my days are numbered here. This is the beginning. And right. I didn't go down that rabbit hole for long and I didn't live with that thought, but I thought to myself, okay, so good job, great job, the job we're doing. And I felt insecure because of the way I experienced him in that moment. Now, how he was had nothing to do with me, but everything that I felt had everything to do with me. How did I show up? What was my step zero that day? Clearly, there was a red flag that there wasn't something right with me, right? I needed to take a look at what were the tapes playing? Did I need to go back to my affirmations? Did I need to do more mirror work? Right? There was something that wasn't right because somebody that feels whole and healthy doesn't have that experience in that moment. So that is one of the red flags. So my thinking after 38 years of recovery, and really working hard on the inside, how does somebody with no tools experience a leader that comes in and that doesn't say hello to them, doesn't encourage them, doesn't lift up their spirit? They got to be feeling insecure, you're just doing a mediocre job. So I really, truly believe that everybody feels that way, including the high performer. So you never know what somebody's experiencing. And it's our job to help lift the human spirit, no matter who they are. So that's my answer to that question.
Well, that's
Beautifully
a
said.
great you're a great employee for even just asking, what does a good job look like? How many times have we heard an employee ask that and really shoot for the highest measure?
I did that more for me than for him. I was replacing his son-in-law. And I thought, boy, Thanksgiving dinner might be very difficult around that family this year. So I thought, if the son-in-law wasn't able to pull it off, I don't want to be operating under the illusion that I'm doing a good job, only to find out I wasn't meeting the expectation, which I think is a leadership's responsibility. I wasn't waiting for him to tell me what a good job looked like. I needed to clearly define it so I could operate through those parameters and either be able to step up and do and exceed the expectation, or say, I don't have the skill set to get done what you're asking to have done. And either way, I would have won, right? Because I
Mhm.
wouldn't show up wondering every day, which is what I think most people do.
Yeah, I do too. Some people talk about it, a lot don't. I thought, it was really important for me. A lot of you out there are gonna understand this, but the 4th and 5th step, were critical for me, at understanding, uh, some of the things that happened in my life and what I needed to do, and forgiveness and what that actually meant, and coming to terms with stuff and digging through that damn trash can to find out where did this all originate from. And for me, it was back in my earliest possible memories of late 4s, early 5s, and how I held my parents responsible. What an illusion that was. It's not their fault. They did the very best they could, as we all do. It's not like there's an owner's manual for how to be a good parent, right? Anyway, it was amazing, and I know a lot of that shaped your life as to who you are today. Let me ask you this: you founded Pandemic of Positivity, and what inspired that movement? Because I am one of the followers.
Compassion, kindness, and love inspired the movement. But where it was birthed was 15 feet away from me. I was pacing in my backyard, and we had 500 employees, and it was during the pandemic, and we were shut down, and we were going to have to release all 500 people. So as I was walking around, and I could see the TV, and I see, truckloads of just all the stuff that was happening. I thought there's got to be a way for us to find some kind of a silver lining in all of this terrible stuff that's going on. And I thought, well, if there's a pandemic going on, what if we could start putting some energy in the positivity area? And that I thought, pandemic positivity. And that's where all those yellow pucks and the bracelets and the hats and the shirts, that's where that all came from. And now it's all over the world.
Tens of thousands, if not more, of followers. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing where that came from, Charity.
David, how is it that you remain positive without ignoring reality?
Oh, good
Well,
question.
my reality is positive. So when you come for me, growing up in a very dysfunctional, abusive, very dark place with very dark things that all people should never go through, and then being homeless and being in and out of jail and in and out of treatment centers, it's really difficult, Charity, no matter what happens in my life, not to draw on that and feel pretty positive about everything. When that's not happening, it's almost impossible not to feel grateful for the life that I've been gifted. So that's how.
That's
Yeah. So,
amazing.
do you go into some of that background in your book
A little bit.
a little
Yeah,
bit?
a little bit. Yes. Not too deep. Don't want to torment anybody.
Well,
But my personal story is, it's not personal to the point I wouldn't share it, but I only want to make an impact. And if my story can't impact anybody, I have no point really sharing it, right?
I hear you. I
yeah,
hear
no,
you.
I know that, people sometimes ask me, said, "Russell, do you ever think about drinking or using?" I said, "Well, yeah. How could you not with all the commercials on TV and stuff like that?" But I have over the years, I've trained myself to go to some of the darkest moments instead of the good times. There was a lot of good times for the first 10 years, and then it was a total commitment to destruction after that. But it was like it gets me right back into humble and grateful and honored for the life I have today. Because, like you, I should be dead or in an institution or in prison the rest of my life with some
No
of the
doubt.
shenanigans. Yeah. So you do share some of that, in a way, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do
Okay.
share some of it for sure.
Charity?
How do you personally reset your mind after a really difficult day?
Well, I don't wait until the day ends. I reset. You'll hear me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and people make fun of me all the time because I'd walk from dealership to dealership and on the balls of my feet and excited and upbeat. And it'd be 2:30, and somebody would say, I'd walk in and always want to do good morning. Like it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Why was I saying good morning at 2:30? Well, here's why. I was restarting my day. So I can have a bad moment. I can have a bad situation, but it doesn't have to turn into a bad day. So there's not a lot that needs to be done at the end of the day because I'm recalibrating and resetting throughout the day.
I love that. Yeah. At any moment, you can choose to think or act differently. It's like, which moment do you choose? How about the one right now? That was great, Dave. Thank you so much for that one. That was great.
What does your own step zero routine look like in the morning?
So it's funny because my friend Liza Borges, we wanted to talk. So we have this really cool thing we're doing. So Patrick Abad, Danny Zaslavsky, and Liza Borges and I are now meeting for
Wow.
just a connection. We just call
Yep.
it connection. And it's an hour and it's on Zoom and it's like this. Well, she had texted me later in the day, wanted to connect. So I sent her a screenshot or a photo of my day. And I wasn't even thinking because we're that close of friends. But it starts out with prayer, meditation. I read something positive. I do my sauna and my cold plunge and my stretching and it's just part of my day. So I absolutely have a repeatable morning routine that includes the things that I would call are putting on my armor for the day. I'm just ready to go. Let's go. It's the same. It starts at about 4 o'clock in the morning or earlier. I don't know that I could see myself not ever doing that. I've been doing that for a long time, and it's really proven to be a great benefit.
Absolutely. And what two amazing people. I just 2 weeks ago flew out and spent some time with Patrick. An amazing guy. We've gotten close. He's a client, which is for a little over 2 years from now. We mostly talk about personal things and how we're really aligned and what he does in that dealership and how he operates and how he loves on his people. Man, it's amazing. So yeah, thank you. What a great honor to be able to have.
Great teacher, Russell.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's an amazing guy. Charity.
Yeah. Well, tell us, David, what do you think's one chapter from your book that will impact readers the most and why?
Wow, that is a great question. It's probably the chapter about the mirror, right?
The mirror.
Just making sure that what you're looking at is a person that you want to be. The thoughts, the decisions. Michael Summers this morning on the show, you probably heard him say,
Phenomenal.
go back and look at your 12-month browser history. And are you gathering information to become a better human being, better leader, better father, better husband? Or are you on TikTok looking at crazy, like what is it that you're consuming? So I think the personal accountability and responsibility and having things. I'll give you another quick story. So I'm in a place called the Pike View Motel in Strongsville, Ohio. I had just been fired from another job and wrecked another demo.
Okay.
I hear voices outside because I'm at that time my name was Chemical Dave.
Well, I bet there's a story behind that.
That was that's what people called me, Chemical Dave. Oh, Chemical Dave's here. Hey, Chemical Dave, CD. And so I hear voices, pull the dresser, of course. You hear voices, you pull the dresser in front of the door so nobody can get in, and you in the blinds. This song comes on. Right? Doesn't everybody do that?
Right. They tweak. Go ahead. Yeah.
A song comes on by Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. And I'd never really had any moments of clarity. It was always a stupor to stupor and issue to issue and problem to problem. Well, the song came on and it was like everything went quiet except for the words in that song. That song changed my life. It was after I went to my second treatment, long-term treatment center, and because of the mirror, the man in the mirror, everything shifted.
You just never know. That was a defining moment, wasn't it?
Yep. It was my burning bush.
Wow. Thank you
That's
for
pretty
sharing
fun.
that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've gone through Russell's burning bush experience in his book, and it's interesting to just see how different they are, even though they bring you kind of over that mountain into a new place, into a clean field with bright flowers. It kind of brings you out of it for the first time in years.
Yeah. It was a profound spiritual experience for me. I mean, it was like all things aligned in that moment of how everything in my life was my fault. And the only person, and you can't change it, Charity. The only person that can change it was me. And you preach that almost every single day in all the different rooms. I hear you every single day, almost 6 days a week, probably, where you drop those nuggets. And it's all about being responsible. And David Long, you are a one responsible person. I'm just flat. You inspire tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people because of how you live your life. So thank you for living your life the way you're living it. Okay.
Russell, thanks for saying that. I do want to say one other thing that this might be impact your listeners, because I know you have an amazing following and people hold you in the highest regard. I've never talked to anybody that hasn't brought you up, that knows you, and that you've made a big impact on a lot of people. People love you.
Thank you.
One of the things that I'd say is, yes, being in that, listening to that song changed my life. But today, and I had a client say this to me, one of my better of the 108 buy centers is called Lakeway. And this young guy, he didn't know how much he impacted me. This was only a week to 10 days ago. His name's Reagan. Reagan's been doing it about a year or so. And he said that his ceiling had became his floor.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, every day it's coming up for me. Does this need to be my ceiling? Does building a new home in Idaho and all the things that are going on in my life, does that need to be my ceiling? Or could that be my floor? And I think it's going to be my floor. I think step 0 is going to be able to help make an impact on enough people where we can really do some good work through my foundations and the things that I'm trying to accomplish. So my ceiling that I never thought possible is now becoming my floor.
Wow.
Well said. Well said.
I know we're out of time. Yeah,
we're out of time. So we'll just ask you one more thing, David. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or you wanted us to ask you today that we didn't get a chance to?
Probably just the things that I'm doing right now. If I could,
please.
We could use that in maybe a little soundbite. Okay.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So as David J. Long Coaching and Performance, I don't look at myself as a consultant, which means I don't always fit in, right? Consultants are consultative, right? I am not. I'm a performance coach. And a performance coach is going to require, not ask, but require you to do certain things and perform. The clients that I've been working with for years, 3, 4, 5 years, they show up to perform. Like, they don't show up to get a couple smart notes and then go back to what they were doing. They show up to perform. And I push people probably to the point of being really uncomfortable in my performance and coaching business. I've also taken that to VAN. I'm heavily engaged with VAN, which is Vehicle Acquisition Network. Not sure if you've ever heard of that.
Hell yeah.
I've been partnered with them since the first buy center I opened over a decade ago. And since then, I'm in, I don't know, probably 1,000 dealers and currently have helped open 108 buy centers. So I'm really excited about helping dealers source cars. And last but not least, I'm aligned with a lot of other companies like the All Things Used Cars Plus. You said it really well, Russell. You have FixedOPS. What the FixedOPS? And we didn't even talk about FixedOPS. Well, All Things Used Cars Plus really doesn't talk about used cars very often. We talk about how to, like this morning, help people become better versions of themselves. So between step 0, the performance and culture side, performance and coaching side, and All Things Used Cars Plus, and working with VAN, I just feel like that we're in a position to make some big differences and impacts. So as we wrap here, I just want to say thanks for letting me talk about David J. Long Performance and Coaching. I love the fact that I can help dealers and businesses impact through performance and through accountability. So that's one. The second thing, this All Things Used Car Plus movement with over 8,000 members and 1,200 people attending live every Friday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for free, I might add, is doing great work to help people understand how to be the best dealer and individual for their business. And it's not about used cars. Also want to give a shout out to the company that I lead called VAN. It's Vehicle Acquisition Network. It has been a part of my 108 buy centers that I've helped open throughout the country. And Russell and what the FixedOPS team, Charity, thank you so much for giving me the time to be here with you.
Thank you,
That's
David.
it. David Long, Step Zero. It's going to be coming out like any day now. If you haven't pre-ordered it, where do they go to pre-order this book, David?
They go to davidjlongconsulting.com, and there's a pre-order slip in there like you filled. I saw you filled one out. Thank you. And just register. It will be out in the next week to 10 days, and I am so excited to hopefully help some people.
Yeah, well, you will. And I encourage all of you. A lot of you out there know David. A lot of you out there know me. If you haven't pre-ordered, you're missing the boat. There's no way you can't not buy this book and read it. There's just no way. If you're not following him, if you're not loving him, if you're not liking him, if you're not in the clubhouse rooms, the one this morning was off the chart. How many people were in there, David? 1,200 people in this room?
Probably 1,000 to 1,500 people.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's like, it's today, it was like a culmination of what makes everything work. And that's people, products, and processes, the most important of which are the people. And it was a lot about people today. And yeah, Michael, the guy that was talking about the last 12 months of search history, he's talking about your bank account, talking about what your calendar looks like. What are you doing out there? If you're wondering why you're not getting here, let's take a look at where you're at right now and what you need. Yeah, the accountability. David, you've made such an impact on my life. I learn from you every single day, and I'm thankful to have met you in person as well. And I'm really honored. Charity, thank you for all that you do in bringing this to life, because I'm telling you, David, without her, we wouldn't be doing this right now. She is the driving force behind that makes it all possible. And for all of you out there listening, thank you for your continued support, subscriptions, liking, loving. Can't wait for this one to come out. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.